Hi everyone, my name is Katherine. I'm one of the reference librarians at the Haverford Township Free Library, and this is Reading with Reference. Today I'm going to tell you about two books I've read recently that I really enjoyed. The first one is called The Mercies. It's written by Katherine Millwood Hargrave, and it's an historical fiction novel about a time period and a series of events that I had never previously heard of, the witch trials of 17th century Norway. The book follows two women whose lives are changed forever by accusations of witchcraft and the witch hunts that ensue. The first is 20-year-old Maren Bergensdottir. She lives in Varda, which is a fairly rough, fairly poor fishing town on the coast, with her mother, her brother, and his wife, who is a member of the Sami, Norway's indigenous people. She joins the rest of the town's women one morning to watch the men, including her new fiancé, set off on a voyage when their ships are suddenly destroyed by a freak storm. With nearly every man in the community dead, the women have to learn how to fend for themselves for the first time. Over the next 3 years, many of them have grown used to their independence and to using their new skills, which draws the attention of both the ultra-religious women in the community and of the men in power in Norway. The other woman this story follows is Orsa, a young woman living in the city of Bergen. She spends most of her time taking care of her sick younger sister, but all of that is changed when Absalom Cornet, a minister who has become famous for burning witches in Scotland, arrives in the city. He needs a wife to keep him company in the north, so he meets and quickly proposes to Orsa, then takes her to Varda. He's been sent there to investigate the women who seem to be thriving without men, which he takes as a sign of evil and godlessness. Things get even more tense amid the accusations and suspicions when Orsa and Maren become friends and develop a close bond that threatens to bring danger to both of them and their families. I knew nothing about Norwegian history before this book, or really even about witch trials in general. Fiction is one of my favorite ways to learn about things like this because it can be so immersive and give you an idea what actual life for actual people might have been like, rather than just dates and numbers. Besides being interesting historically, though, it's also a compelling story of women's lives and relationships in extreme circumstances. The Mercies really showed how hard it was for women to have any kind of life of their own in these times without putting themselves in danger or being accused of and punished for awful and untrue things. I was tense through most of the audiobook, which to me is a sign of really good writing because it gets me to feel like the outcomes of the characters are actually happening to me. Plus, if you are a fan of audiobooks, this is a good one to listen to. It's narrated by the actress Jessie Buckley, who has a great voice and a great accent and does really believable voices for all the characters. So that is The Mercies by Katherine Millwood Hargrave. The second book I want to talk about is When We Were Vikings by Andrew David Mcdonald. If you liked A Man Called Ove or Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, this book is perfect for you. It follows 21-year-old Zelda, who has fetal alcohol syndrome. She lives with her older brother Gert, spends time at the rec center taking life skills classes, and hanging out with her boyfriend Marksy. She's also obsessed with Vikings and with the idea of having a life code and going on quests the way Vikings did. When Gert starts making questionable and possibly dangerous decisions to make ends meet for himself and Zelda, she decides that this is her chance to be brave and finally make her quest happen. This book was very sweet, but what I liked most about it was that the author never treated Zelda like less than a person than the other characters who didn't have her disability. Her voice and abilities and relationships are given respect both by the author and by most of the characters she encounters. Really, everyone in this book is an excellent, complicated, and nuanced character. Zelda isn't a voice or a character like anyone I've seen before in fiction, and I really loved spending time with her and in her story. Both of these titles are available as ebooks and digital audiobooks for you to borrow on Libby. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a great weekend.